Welcome back, everyone, to another market closing live stream. We've got a little bit of some movement here in crypto and also some other stocks. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on. I did also buy a call option. I'm not a big fan of buying calls, but I did buy a call option and been really tempted to sell some more puts. I've been pretty tempted on that. So we might do some put selling in this live stream. We'll see. But anyway, yeah, golly, it's always entertaining kind of watching what's going on in the market. Today we did have a dip on Bitcoin. If we go out to the 1 minute here, we can actually see we broke this pretty strong support line here at 47,000, 47,100. If it's the first time we've really broken this, usually we bounce right off of this 47,150-ish. But we got a good breakthrough here and kind of vacillated around this line here for a bit. Broke down to about 47,000 there. Up a little higher now, but definitely a little softness there. And that's being felt here in some of the mining stocks. You see, well, you can see here, Hut 8 mining down about 4.9, almost 5% here. Got, so some of the, obviously, crypto stocks need to pull down. Where's Marathon and Riot? Usually they come down with this sort of stuff. Let's pull them here. Riot, yeah, Riot's only down 1.27 here, so not too phased by this fluctuation. We've really gotten this movement around 47,000 frequently here. It might be worth, I don't know, is it worth us watching Biden? Biden is coming up right now. Let's see here, and Biden talking. We could take a quick listen in. Let's see what Biden's got for us.
That number is more than double what most experts thought were possible. No nation has ever done anything like it in all of history. Only the United States had the capacity and the will and ability to do it, and we did it today. The extraordinary success of this mission was due to the incredible skill, bravery, and selfless courage of the United States military and our diplomats and intelligence professionals. For weeks, they risked their lives to get American citizens, Afghans who helped us, citizens of our allies and partners and others on board planes and out of the country. And they did it facing a crush of enormous crowds seeking to leave the country. And they did it knowing ISIS-K terrorists, sworn enemies of the Taliban, were lurking in the midst of those crowds. And still, the women and men of the United States military, our diplomatic corps, and intelligence.
We'll see, by the way, if he ends up accepting any questions here. Mostly, I'm expecting this to be pretty brief here. We'll go right back to stocks in just a moment.
Not in a mission of war, but in a mission of mercy. 20 service members were wounded in the service of this mission. 13 heroes gave their lives. I was just at Dover Air Force Base for the dignified transfer. We owe them and their families a debt of gratitude we can never repay, but we should never, ever forget. In April, I made a decision to end this war. As part of that decision, we set the date of August 31st for American troops to withdraw. The assumption was that more than 300,000 Afghan national security forces that we had trained over the past 2 decades and equipped would be a strong adversary in their civil wars with the Taliban. That assumption that the Afghan government would be able to hold on for a period of time beyond military drawdown turned out not to be accurate. But I still instructed our national security team to prepare for every eventuality, even that one. And that's what we did. So we were ready when the Afghan security forces, after 2 decades of fighting for their country and losing thousands of their own, did not hold on as long as anyone expected. We were ready when they and the people of Afghanistan watched their own government collapse and their president flee amid the corruption and malfeasance, handing over the country to their enemy, the Taliban, and significantly increasing the risk to U.S. personnel and our allies. As a result, to safely extract American citizens before August 31st, as well as embassy personnel, allies and partners, and those Afghans who had worked with us and fought alongside of us for 20 years. I had authorized 6,000 troops, American troops, to Kabul to help secure the airport. As General McKenzie said, this is the way the mission was designed. It was designed to operate under severe stress and attack, and that's what it did. Since March, we reached out 19 times to Americans in Afghanistan with multiple warnings and offers to help them leave Afghanistan, all the way back as far as March. After we started the evacuation 17 days ago, we did initial outreach and analysis and identified around 5,000 Americans who had decided earlier to stay in Afghanistan, but now wanted to leave. Our Operation Allied Rescue ended up getting more than 5,500 Americans out. We got out thousands of citizens and diplomats from those countries that went into Afghanistan with us to get bin Laden. We got out locally employed staff of the United States Embassy and their families, totaling roughly 2,500 people. We got thousands of Afghan translators and interpreters and others who supported the United States out as well. Now we believe that about 100 to 200 Americans remain in Afghanistan with some intention to leave. Most of those who remain are dual citizens, longtime residents who had earlier decided to stay because of their family roots in Afghanistan. The bottom line, 90% of Americans in Afghanistan who wanted to leave were able to leave. And for those remaining Americans, there is no deadline. We remain committed to get them out if they want to come out. Secretary of State Blinken is leading the continued diplomatic efforts to ensure safe passage for any American, Afghan partner, or foreign national who wants to leave Afghanistan. In fact, just yesterday, the United Nations Security Council passed a resolution that sent a clear message about the international community expects the Taliban to deliver on moving forward, notably freedom of travel, freedom to leave. And together, we are joined by over 100 countries that are determined to make sure the Taliban upholds those commitments. It will include ongoing efforts in Afghanistan to reopen the airport, as well as overland routes, allowing for continued departure to those who want to leave and deliver humanitarian assistance to the people of Afghanistan. The Taliban has made public commitments, broadcast on television and radio across Afghanistan, on safe passage for anyone wanting to leave, including those who worked alongside Americans. We don't take them by their word alone, but by their actions. And we have leverage to make sure those commitments are met. Let me be clear. Leaving August the 31st is not due to an arbitrary deadline.
Right here, by the way, BTC dropping a little bit again, back to our 47 line as Biden's talking here.
The former president signed an agreement with the Taliban to remove U.S. troops by May the 1st, just months after I was inaugurated. It included no requirement that Taliban work out a cooperative governing arrangement with the Afghan government. But it did authorize the release of 5,000 prisoners last year, including some of the Taliban's top war commanders, among those who just took control of Afghanistan. By the time I came to office, the Taliban was in its strongest military position since 2001, controlling or contesting nearly half of the country. The previous administration's agreement said that if we stuck to the May 1st deadline that they had signed on to leave by, the Taliban wouldn't attack any American forces. But if we stayed...
I think a lot of this right now is sort of just reiterating Biden's view of the last sort of 6 to 8 months here. I don't know if we're going to get new information at this point since we've withdrawn. I am also looking at stocks at the moment here. We'll switch right back to stocks in just a bit. But let's see if he ends up taking questions or how this ends up.
We're escalating. I was not going to extend this forever war. And I was not extending a forever exit. The decision to end the military airlift operations at Kabul airport was based on the unanimous recommendation of my civilian and military advisors, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and all the service chiefs and the commanders in the field. Their recommendation was that the safest way to secure the passage of the remaining Americans and others out of the country was not to continue with 6,000 troops on the ground in harm's way in Kabul, but rather to get them out through non-military means. In the 17 days that we operated in Kabul, after the Taliban seized power, we engaged in an around-the-clock effort to provide every American the opportunity to leave. Our State Department was working.
It's worth noting Tesla kind of slipped here into the close, pretty much flat for the day.
And in some cases, walking Americans into the airport. Again, more than 5,500 Americans were airlifted out. And for those who remain, we will make arrangements to get them out if they so choose. As for the Afghans, we and our partners have airlifted 100,000 of them. No country in history has done more to airlift out the residents of another country than we have done. We will continue to work to help more people leave the country who are at risk. We're far from done. For now, I urge all Americans to join me in grateful prayer for our troops and diplomats and intelligence officers who carried out this mission of mercy in Kabul and at tremendous risk with such unparalleled results. An airlift that evacuated tens of thousands, to a network of volunteers and veterans who helped identify those needing evacuation, guide them to the airport, and provided them for their support along the way. We're going to continue to need their help. We need your help, and I'm looking forward to meeting with you. And to everyone who is now offering or who will offer to welcome Afghan allies to their homes around the world, including in America, we thank you. I take responsibility for the decision. Now some say we should have started mass evacuation sooner. And couldn't this have been done in a more orderly manner? I respectfully disagree. Imagine if we'd begun evacuations in June or July, bringing in thousands of American troops and evacuating more than 120,000 people in the middle of a civil war. There still would have been a rush to the airport, a breakdown in confidence and control of the government, and it still would have been very difficult and dangerous mission. The bottom line is there is no evacuation from the end of a war that you can run without the kinds of complexities, challenges, and threats we faced. None. There are those who would say we should have stayed indefinitely for years on end. They ask, why don't we just keep doing what we were doing? Why do we have to change anything? The fact is, everything had changed. My predecessor had made a deal with the Taliban. When I came into office, we faced a deadline, May 1. The Taliban onslaught was coming. We faced one of two choices: follow the agreement of the previous administration and extend to have more time for people to get out, or send in thousands of more troops and escalate the war. To those asking for a third decade of war in Afghanistan, I ask, what is the vital national interest? In my view, we only have one: to make sure Afghanistan can never be used again to launch an attack on our homeland. Remember why we went to Afghanistan in the first place?
I really hope that Afghanistan does not get the capabilities of launching an attack again. But if you haven't seen the image yet of all the weapons they have yet, or have now, I think it's worth looking at. I'm pretty sure I saved it. Yeah, take a look at this if you haven't seen this particular image yet. And we'll go right back and then we'll go to stocks. Take a look at this image right here on screen right here. So a reporter had shared this, and it shows you Taliban's new arsenal: 22,000 Humvees, 8,000 trucks, 162,000 radios, 158,000 assault rifles, helicopters, C-130s, you name it. I mean, they got a lot of stuff right now, so it's kind of crazy. Anyway, we'll go back to Biden here.
The Taliban controlled Afghanistan in the year 2001. I believe the honest answer is no. That's because we had no vital interest in Afghanistan other than to prevent an attack on America's homeland and our friends. And that's true today. We succeeded in what we set out to do in Afghanistan over a decade ago. Then we stayed for another decade. It was time to end this war. This is a new world. The terror threat has metastasized across the world, well beyond Afghanistan. We face threats from al-Shabaab in Somalia, al-Qaeda affiliates in Syria and the Arabian Peninsula, and ISIS attempting to create a caliphate in Syria and Iraq and establishing affiliates across Africa and Asia. The fundamental obligation of a president, in my opinion, is to defend and protect America, not against threats of 2001, but against the threats of 2021 and tomorrow. That is the guiding principle behind my decisions about Afghanistan. I simply do not believe that the safety and security of America is enhanced by continuing to deploy thousands of American troops and spending billions of dollars a year in Afghanistan. But I also know that the threat from terrorism continues in its pernicious and evil nature. But it's changed, expanded to other countries. Our strategy has to change too. We will maintain the fight against terrorism in Afghanistan and other countries. We just don't need to fight a ground war to do it. We have what's called over-the-horizon capabilities, which means we can strike terrorists and targets without American boots on the ground, or very few if needed. We've shown that capacity just in the last week. We struck ISIS-K remotely, days after they murdered 13 of our service members and dozens of innocent Afghans. And to ISIS-K, we are not done with you yet. As Commander-in-Chief, I firmly believe the best path to guard our safety and our security lies in a tough, unforgiving, targeted, precise strategy that goes after terror where it is today, not where it was 2 decades ago. That's what's in our national interest. And here's a critical thing to understand. The world is changing. We're engaged in a serious competition with China. We're dealing with the challenges on multiple fronts with Russia. We're confronted with cyber attacks and nuclear proliferation. We have to shore up America's competitiveness to meet these new challenges in the competition for the 21st century. And we can do both. Fight terrorism and take on new threats that are here now and will continue to be here in the future. And there's nothing China or Russia would rather have, would want more in this competition in the United States to be bogged down another decade in Afghanistan.
Yeah, I never got that argument. I really never got that argument, because this now creates a power vacuum and lets Russia and China get in.
has guided our nation the last 2 decades. We've got to learn from our mistakes. To me, there are 2 that are paramount. First, we must set missions with clear, achievable goals, not ones we'll never reach. And second, we must stay clearly focused on the fundamental national security interest of the United States of America. This decision about Afghanistan is not just about Afghanistan. It's about ending an era of major military operations to remake other countries. We saw a mission of counterterrorism in Afghanistan, getting the terrorists and stopping attacks.
You're just now joining. Joe Biden's kind of just doing a recap of the deal that Trump had and that we were going to withdraw from this 20-year war, that it wasn't worth staying another decade or risking that. Takes responsibility for everything, wants to focus on ISIS-K, keeping ISIS-K clamped down so that attacks can't be launched from Afghanistan. Not too much new so far. At the same time, kind of also watching what's going on in stocks here, the market, just to see if we get any kind of maybe Q&A or something that pops up here. But so far, it doesn't sound like anything's going to be coming from Biden.
To those who wish America harm, to those who engage in terrorism against us or our allies, know this: the United States will never rest. We will not forgive. We will not forget. We'll hunt you down to the ends of the earth, and you will pay the ultimate price.
Biden's getting angry.
And let me be clear. We'll continue to support the Afghan people through diplomacy, international influence, and humanitarian aid. We'll continue to push for regional diplomacy engagement to prevent violence and instability. We'll continue to speak out for the basic rights of the Afghan people, especially women and girls, as we speak out for women and girls all around the globe. And I've been clear that human rights will be the center of our foreign policy. But the way to do that is not through endless military deployments, but through diplomacy, economic tools, and rallying the rest of the world for support. My fellow Americans, the war in Afghanistan is now over. I'm the 4th president who has faced the issue of whether and when to end this war. When I was running for president, I made a commitment to the American people that I would end this war. Today, I've honored that commitment. It was time to be honest with the American people again. We no longer had a clear purpose in an open-ended mission in Afghanistan. After 20 years of war in Afghanistan, I refuse to send another generation of America's sons and daughters to fight a war that should have ended long ago. After more than $2 trillion spent in Afghanistan, costs that researchers at Brown University estimated would be over $300 million a day for 20 years in Afghanistan, for 2 decades. Yes, the American people should hear this: $300 million a day for 2 decades. You take the number of 1 trillion, as many say, that's still $150 million a day for 2 decades. What have we lost as a consequence in terms of opportunities? I refuse to continue a war that was no longer in the service of the vital national interests of our people. And most of all, after 800,000 Americans serving in Afghanistan, I've traveled that whole country, brave and honorable service. After 20,744 American servicemen and women injured, and the loss of 2,461 American personnel, including 13 lives, lost just this week.
I agree. This is probably one of his most passionate speeches.
Afghanistan. We've been a nation too long at war. If you're 20 years old today, you've never known an America at peace. So when I hear that we could have, should have, continued the so-called low-grade effort in Afghanistan at low risk to our service members, at low cost, I don't think enough people understand how much we have asked of the 1% of this country who put that uniform on, willing to put their lives on the line in defense of our nation. Maybe it's because my deceased son, Bo, served in Iraq for a full year. Before that, well, maybe it's because of what I've seen over the years as senator, vice president, and president traveling these countries. A lot of our veterans and their families have gone through hell. Deployment after deployment, months and years away from their families, missed birthdays, anniversaries, empty chairs at holidays, financial struggles, divorces, loss of limbs, traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress. We see it in the struggles many have when they come home. We see it in the strain on their families and caregivers. We see it in the strain on their families when they're not there. We see it in the grief borne by their survivors. Cost of war, they will carry with them their whole lives. Most tragically, we see in the shocking and stunning statistic should give pause to anyone who thinks war can ever be low grade, low risk, or low cost. 18 veterans on average who die by suicide every single day in America. Not in a far off place, but right here in America. There's nothing low grade or low risk or low cost about any war. It's time to end the war in Afghanistan. As we close 20 years of war and strife and pain and sacrifice, it's time to look at the future, not the past. To future.
Some of the comments says Joel Olstein giving his best today. My gosh, it's good. Look, Biden's doing great today. Look, opinions and politics aside, he's doing very good right now. The speech.
Measure of devotion. I give you my word with all of my heart. I believe this is the right decision, the wise decision, and the best decision for America. Thank you. Thank you, and may God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.
No questions, I bet.
President Biden marking a moment in
that, by the way, right there was that hallway Obama came down when they got Osama bin Laden. Who remembers that? Same hallway. There you go. Wow. Okay. So, excuse me. Let's get over to the stock market. Let's see what's happening over here. Of course, we do have, you can get one totally free stock with Public, going to metkevin.com/public. Get a free stock worth all the way up to $70. They don't buy or sell your info. metkevin.com/public. You will find that link down below, right next to the link for the programs on building your wealth. That coupon code does expire tonight. You get free access to any upgrades in the coursework. So when I add new lectures, you get those for free. Private access to me and private live streams. We generally banter about investment ideas and theses, which is super fun. Do a lot of Q&A. And yeah, it's all good fun. So check out the links down below. Many different programs you can check out, and they all get access to the live stream. So let's take a look at some shifts here we've had in the market. Tesla, look at this weird, what just happened to Tesla? Look at this. The thing plummets. And then skyrockets right here. Well, not really skyrockets, but I mean, very interesting volume here on Tesla all of a sudden. Really interesting. That's definitely going to push some volatility on stocks. You've got Zoom that has basically been a flat line all day long. It's not loading right now, so just imagine a flat. There we go. Wait, everything did this. Is Zoom too? Wait a sec. Did this have to do with Biden? No, or is this just lagging? Hold on. Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, no, that was Tesla. Okay. So yeah, look at Zoom. It has literally been a flat line. Now, in my opinion, when you have a flat line like this, I think it sometimes can set you up for a bounce back the next day. It's kind of like a firm. It ran up, flat line during the day, bounced down. Now we've got the opposite. Plummet, flat line. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 3 to 5% bump tomorrow. Could be wrong, though. It could just keep leaking. But I think the worst is now priced into Zoom. That's 16.7%. That's a pretty big drop to the downside. You've got, let's see, Skills ran here, second part of the day. Latch.com up 8.7. Look at AMC rallying into the close as well. AMC doing very well here. Looks like Weeble's loading a little bit slower here all of a sudden. Kind of annoying, so we might just stay over here. You can kind of see it here on the spark line. So 8.3% here on AMC. Really two big pushes here towards the end of the day. Got Upstart Holdings at 229. This is the one I just don't understand. It's crazy. It just keeps going and going and going. It just goes up, up, and away. It's incredible. So somebody says they finally broke even on Nano Dimension. Oh, is it running again? Let's see. Mind. Let's see. Oh, that reminds me. How's Mind Medicine doing? Oh, there's Nano Dimension up 4.49%. Mind Medicine up 2.69% again. This is probably what, the third or fourth day up now. Let's see here. This is the day chart. We are now, we're on the fourth day of going up. Still sitting at some of these low levels here. 2.8. It has gone as low as $2 before for Mind Medicine here. Obviously had a little bit of a shake up with the chief executive taking off and getting replaced. Neo, almost back over 40 for Neo. EXPI moving nicely here. Smile Direct coming up another 3%. Arcimoto 2.65. Carnival Cruise Lines, Dave & Buster's, Spirit, American Air, recovery stocks, Nordstrom, Wynn, so on and so forth, bouncing back a bit. We did at the beginning have Bitcoin. So let's see here. Okay, here we go. BTC USD. We've got somewhere around 47.3. Okay, so we've bounced off that line again here on the 1 minute chart. We did have a rush down below this a couple hours ago here, and we are back above that 47,000 level now. Tesla sitting at up now 0.59. Oh, well, there it is, up 0.6% right now. Yeah, Tesla breaking up back to 735 right now. Not quite the high of the day of 740. But for some reason, our minute chart is just, it's very slow today. There we go. Yeah, a lot of volume coming into Tesla here all of a sudden towards the end of the day. I wonder if there was some Tesla news. Let's see. We are getting very close to the bell. Let me pull up to see if there was any particular Tesla news. I know that I heard they announced a new solar panel, and we saw consumer confidence fall to 6-month lows. We also have some news out on Moderna I'm going to talk about in just a moment. Let's hear the bell and let's talk about Moderna.
The NASDAQ, which was stronger for most of the day, has gone negative. And there you see, stronger for parts of the day, I should say. Negative. Apple is a part of the story. Zoom Video tanking on some growth concerns, even with a beat on profits. Amazon, though, is an outlier. Some of the media names also doing well today. The airlines are bouncing back. Still, they're off more than 20% from their all-time highs. That is going to be the bell, and it wraps up another strong month for stocks, the 7th in a row of gains.
7th month in the row of gains. Geez. Okay, so we did have everything is good. No, nothing crazy here on Tesla. And they didn't actually give us the indice closing numbers today. Let's see if they say it.
4%.
Here we go.
The S&P up close to 3%. The Dow lagging up 1.2%, but ended on a
that's on the month. It must be, because it's certainly not today. Dow, Nasdaq, and S&P 500 each down. The Russell, did he say Russell? I'm pretty sure he said the S&P. The Russell up a positive 0.17%, but most things here pretty flat. You can see on the indice side, Dow 0.12 to the down, S&P 0.14 to the Dow, Nasdaq relatively flat. Volatility index tiny little bit up. Let's go ahead and reckon it here. These are the earnings we've got today. Yeah, I was just going to pull those up here. PVH, Anaplan, Ambarella, and CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike will be really interesting. That's definitely one we're going to watch here in just a moment. So we'll see this come up. I actually don't see. Is Voyager reporting today too? I don't see that one. If maybe they are. Maybe they're just not listed on this sheet here. So yeah, I didn't see any particular news on Tesla. And it looks like in the after hours here, you got a little bit of attempted push down. But that's an interesting rally you had here suddenly on Tesla. Very, very interesting sort of drop and then run there. Who knows? Maybe Tesla will finally run again. It's been very, very long time since we've seen a Tesla run. But look, Amazon did that too. Or am I lagged out again? No, I mean, this looks like the Amazon chart. Yeah, this is the 1 minute on Amazon. They did this as well. Amazon sitting at 34.72. Pop in here, AAPL. Let's go ahead and drop in. AAPL dropped a little bit. Oh, hey, look, there's some of my old purchase at AAPL. Let's see here. Etsy. We've got Etsy popping a little bit here after hours. 217, 216 on the day. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the watch list a little bit. Let's see. How did things close? Skills up 11.43. AMC almost 9% on AMC. Great movement. Did Palantir do that kind of run as well? Yeah, the 1 minute chart's a little bugged here for some reason. But let me just see if I can grab it over here. Let's see. Wish ended up 0.42%. Palantir. PPPP, ABCD. Palantir. Somewhere around here. Here's Peloton sitting right at about 100. And there we go. Palantir, 2.33%. You're right. Had a little run here at the end. You just look at the spark lines. Poshmark did that as well. Poshmark, this is an interesting one. Let's see. This one's gotten beat up. Zoom out. Look at Poshmark here. I mean, this almost looks like a C3AI here, right? Look at that. I mean, it's just a bleed out. You compare Poshmark to C3AI, probably pretty similar right now. So we do have CrowdStrike coming up. I'm going to quickly look. I do want to look at trends, though, quickly for Poshmark. Let's see if we see any changes here. Poshmark. No, not really. Past 5 years. Yeah, not really. Kind of a softening here. Yet more relative strength for Poshmark, actually, before the pandemic. Pandemic actually looks like it hurt Posh a little bit. All right, we got earnings coming up. Let's go ahead and pull up some of these here. Probably just CrowdStrike. I don't know the other ones. It's really hard for me to add commentary. So let's go here. See, I don't know Ambarella and Anaplan, PVH. Don't know anything about these guys. CrowdStrike is implying an 11.1% movement in the after hours. I'm a big fan of CrowdStrike, but I don't own any CrowdStrike. We also, somebody mentioned that Voyager Digital might be reporting, so I might pull that on individual news here. C3AI earnings are tomorrow. I do not see any particular news here on Voyager Digital. Let me see here. Voyager Digital earnings. And I will pull up CrowdStrike, though, here. Pop this open. Okay, so all right, here we go. CrowdStrike's coming out now. So, okay, I don't have a summary yet. Don't like it when they don't do that. No summary yet, but I do have their list here, or their press release. Okay, revenue was 337.7 mil, 70% increase compared to. Oh, here we go. Now I'm getting the summary. Loss per share reported of 25 cents, revenue of 337.7, EPS came in 11 cents. Gosh, they get this done fast. There we go. Revenue just beat a little bit, 337 versus the 322 expected. So a slight beat on revenue there. Not sure what the expectation was on. There we go. Okay, this is forecast. See, this forecast is about in line, 8 to 10 cents versus the 8.7 expected. Q3 revenue expected to be 360 to 370 mil. The expectation was 350, so that's good. Fiscal year EPS of 43 to 49, expected a range of 35 to 41. So that's a beat on forecast with a consensus at 39. So they just beat on forecast. They beat on revenue a little bit. That's good. Their guidance, they're raising guidance. So that's also very good. To me, this looks like a very good report so far. But the stock market can be brutal. Oh, yeah. It's down 3% after hours. Yeah. I said, no kidding. This is why like I do not play earnings anymore. You know, a long time ago I used to play earnings, but this year, like look at this. You beat on EPS, you beat on revenue, you beat on forecast, you're raising your guidance. Like everything is good. Everything is good. And what happens? Boom. After hours, you drop 4%. So this is why, like, I'm nervous about C3 AI. In fact, if you're in the Stocks and Psychology of Money group, you'll know that I already closed out my C3 AI option. We had a little bit of a run, and so I got out of that today because tomorrow's earnings, and I don't want to play earnings. Look, I'll be around to play. I'll play swings. You know, I picked up a different call. I'll gladly play some swings, but I do not want to play earnings. Earnings is so scary. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Yeah, it's possible that you could get earnings, CrowdStrike having just run up to earnings. You know, maybe you had that here, the sort of volume that came in after the dip here. So, yeah, maybe. Or maybe it's traders getting out. You know, who knows what it is. That's actually potentially very much of what you have going on is traders get in leading up to earnings and then they bail. When those earnings come in, they dip out and take their tendies, so to speak, or their losses. Let's see here. Okay. We've got, CrowdStrike's the one that's moving right now. And upside, you got Canadian Solar in the after hours moving a little bit here. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, so Canadian Solar finally bumped, it looks like, a little bit above our support line here that we've had somewhere right around 37. Looks like with that 2% move, that pushes us right above. So finally getting back into this channel here. Have been watching this one pretty closely here. Yes. It's true. Snowflake doing well could help C3 AI. But hey, that's not a bet. I just don't like playing bets on earnings. You could be right big or you could be wrong big. And see, again, that's what's so frustrating is like you could be so right. But then, you still drop 4% here, which is a bummer. All right. So let's see what other news there is here. Has been much news. Let's see here. 1 second. Okay, let's go to Bloomberg and see what news we have. All right. So we listened to Biden speak. Wells Fargo risked regulatory action over pace of restitution. Yeah, I saw Wells Fargo all of a sudden dropped like 4 or 5% earlier. So they must be getting pressure for not helping comply with some of their previous settlements. We saw Fidelity to hire workers. We saw that this morning. Colleges dangle tuition deals to head off harsh economic reality. Oh my gosh. Dwindling high school seniors starting in 2026. Yikes. What else do we have here? U.S. travel nurses being offered as much as $8,000 a week. My goodness. Become a travel nurse. Wow. $8,000 a week for a travel nurse? That's crazy good. Mad respect to the nurses traveling and working and uprooting their lives doing this, but that's $32,000 a month. That's like $400,000 potentially. That's insane. That's awesome. That's really good. I think it's because you've got such a nurse shortage right now, especially since there's such a division in those who want to get vaccinated versus not vaccinated. A little bit of an issue in that split there. Oops. Where were we? There we were. So let's see. Lake Tahoe fire threat grows as high winds fan California flames. Okay. Progressives urge Biden not to nominate Powell as Fed chair. Wow. Really? AOC? Is that what? AOC and a group of fellow progressive Democrats are calling on Joe Biden to replace Jerome Powell when his term expires. We urge Biden to reimagine a Federal Reserve focused on eliminating climate risk and advancing racial and economic justice. Wait a minute. Look, I know that the Fed has said they prioritize climate and racial and economic justice. But can I just say it without getting it canceled here that I think the Fed is a central bank that's designed to make sure our monetary systems function first and foremost? Is that not the purpose of the Federal Reserve? To make sure the dollar doesn't collapse and that the economy functions? And is it not, in fact, Congress's job, aka people like AOC and Rashida Tlaib, is it not their job to promote climate risk or eliminating climate risk and advancing racial and economic justice? Is this one of those, like, you point a finger and three fingers point right back at you? Like, AOC, you're complaining about what you should be doing, not what Jerome Powell should be doing. My God, this, like, I'm such an eye roller. It's, you know what it is? It's clickbait. It's clickbait. It's here, look, AOC, yeah, that's right. Go to war for the people. Yell at Jerome Powell. It's not his job. God. And I'm not saying that you don't want to respect economic and racial equality and climate change. Not saying you don't want to respect those as Jerome Powell, as the chairperson of the Federal Reserve. But to basically say we should replace Jerome Powell because he's not doing enough of that, like, that's not his job. Oh, God. All right. I'm sorry. Very frustrating. Okay. What else? So even the wealthiest countries are at risk of getting hacked if they annoy China. That's actually a funny title. If you annoy us, we will hack you. All right, let's see here. What else? Documenting the last payphones in America. What? This is how you know there's no news. There's no news when we're documenting the last payphones. Gosh, payphones. I can't even remember payphones. Anyway, let's go to the Wall Street Journal. All right. Let's see here. This was a very good speech. I have to say, he did a great job. Just take the politics out of it, okay? It's okay to compliment whether you like people or not. So what else do we have here? There's so little news. You know what? Economists might have something for us. Do you think I think the market likes Jerome Powell. I also don't think he'll get replaced. I don't think he'll get replaced. The economy that COVID-19 could not stop. There's no news. There's no news. This is sad. You know, this is a problem. Vaccine inequality. I do think that's a problem. Keep Powell. Look, The Economist says, keep Powell at the Fed. Look at this. Here, AOC, have you read The Economist or are you too busy on Twitter? When nominating the chairman of the Federal Reserve, America's president picks the person who wields great and immediate power over the global economy. American responsibility of interest rates, $8.3 trillion balance sheet, obligation to regulate the world's most important banks. See, thank you. These are the things that matter right now. Rates, the balance sheet, the financial markets, inflation. Inflation creates more economic inequality, right? So think about the big issues first. Fate of Jerome Powell. Okay, let's just bottom line this really quick. Despite his mixed record, Mr. Biden should reappoint Mr. Powell. That is partly because any replacement the White House is likely to consider would probably be even keener on prolonging QE. Oh, whoa. I may be skeptical of tidy up of bank regulations that Mr. Powell has presided over. The most important reason to keep Powell in his job is that it would be a terrible moment to give the impression the White House wants to influence the Fed. In the short term, the danger is that high inflation proves stubbornly persistent while Powell in charge. That would look like an honest mistake. Okay. All right. So basically creating too much tumult. I don't want to go through reading all of this, but that's interesting. You know, I agree with keeping Jerome Powell. So, all right. Okay. So, what do I got to say now? Well, as usual, the course coupon code expires tonight. The price goes up over time. Get your free up to $70 with Public by going to metkevin.com/public, metkevin.com/join for the courses. If you want life insurance, go to metkevin.com/life. Or if you want to price shop that, go to metkevin.com/lemonade. So you got lots of options around here. Anyway, I got to go pick Jack up from school because it's his birthday. And, well, I promised I would. So here I go. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We will see you in the next one.